Where does Oklahoma rank in terms of water quality? It's a difficult thing to measure, and not everyone agrees with the criteria that is often cited. For example, in 2019, U.S. News and World Report released a report that ranked Oklahoma 49th out of 50 states in overall water quality. Only Maine was deemed worse, while the state of Rhode Island topped the list. But Oklahoma's Department of Environmental Quality says these findings don't tell the whole story, because they say there's no definitive way to rank water systems in the U.S. because there's no fair criteria.
All drinking water systems are monitored routinely for a whole series of potential contaminants. We want to make sure that our water is safe for Oklahomans to drink. Improving water quality is an ongoing challenge for dozens of Oklahoma communities. The city of Enid recently secured a $205 million low-interest loan from the state to build a 70-mile-long water pipeline that the city says will guarantee a dependable water source for the next 40 to 50 years. But many municipalities can't afford that kind of expenditure. ONR Steve Shaw reports on a small town in Kiowa County that is struggling to provide quality tap water to its citizens.
You can't drink it. You can't cook with it. I do not give it to my animals.
Cindy Lassiter is talking about her experience with the town of Hobart's tap water.
We had to get a shower filter because my husband, he's got very sensitive skin.
Cindy's one of several residents who've sounded off on social media recently about what they believe is a serious problem in Hobart, which has a population of just under 4,000.
90% of the time it just smells like bleach, or it's brown. It's not drinkable most of the time. I've got a vaporizer that's been ruined by how hard this water is.
Well, when you wash your clothes, especially white clothes, they don't stay white very long.
Hobart's water treatment plant has been shut down since 2010. And that's not anybody's fault. Hobart used to get its water from Rocky Lake, 9 miles north of town. City manager Ashley Slaughterback says the Rocky served Hobart well. A supply that was supposed to last 50 years lasted 80. Now the lake's just too low, which is why Hobart 10 years ago started getting its H2O from Foss Lake, 25 miles north of Hobart, off I-40. However, she says that left Hobart in a catch-22.
Not a good idea to be sole sourced on water. So we started researching different options. We looked at wells, we looked at other sources to buy from, and our best option ended up being rehabbing Rocky Lake.
Before Hobart can rehab Rocky, it has to dry, so they can dredge. That process, she says, could take 4 to 5 years and around $18 million.
That's kind of on the high end, but it's a really large project, and we're looking at trying to group some grants and loans. We've already got a couple of loans that we're paying on to do the dredging.
Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality Water Division Director Shelley Chard is sympathetic to Hobart's plight.
It's a long time, a long distance for water to be in a pipeline. This can cause issues with some of the settling that may occur. It can cause changes in the disinfection level. So Hobart is taking some steps through chlorine, disinfection boosters, and things like that to help address some of the problems.
Hobart resident Susie Matney says she tries to stick to bottled water, but she claims her tap water makes her sick.
But after I use the bottled water, I turn around and drink this, and whenever I get a drink of it, it makes my stomach hurt, makes me go to the bathroom.
Chard says the DEQ regularly tests water systems all over the state, and they alert towns and residents if it's not safe.
There are various levels of unsafe, and so we have a tiered response. There are certain contaminants that if there is bacteria in the water, that can cause an immediate illness today. At that point, we issue boil orders where residents have to boil the water before they use it so that the bacteria is killed. If it is a chemical contaminant, we may issue a do not use order because boiling doesn't help.
Charge says Hobart's also been hampered by water line breaks, which City Manager Slaughterback knows all too well.
Hobart was started in 1901, and like a lot of towns and cities in Oklahoma, and especially in southwest Oklahoma, we've got a very old infrastructure.
Charge says anyone, anywhere in Oklahoma can call the DEQ 24/7 at this hotline number if they believe they have a water quality issue.
You will talk to a real person when you call that number. You will get a phone call back from an expert in that area. You will have a site visit from a DEQ person.
You know, they keep saying they're working on it, but I don't know when they're going to get done. So you said 4 or 5 years, that's a long time, you know, to have to, you know, live with this water. And sometimes when you turn it on, it smells like dead fish. You know, it just kind of gags you.
We need help, but it's not a water problem, it's a water pipe problem.
Longtime Hobart business owner Phil Fisher says he thinks the water's okay for now.
I think we have the same problems that most small towns have in Oklahoma, in that there's no funding to update the old pipes. Also, we have old houses.
Steve Shaw, the Oklahoma News Report.
Steve, thank you. And on a positive note, the American Water Works Association awarded Oklahoma City its Best of the Best Tap Water Taste Competition back in 2013, beating out International Falls, Minnesota. For the first time in our nation's history, a U.S. president has been impeached twice. The House of Representatives voting to impeach President Trump on Wednesday, charging the president with incitement of insurrection against the government of the United States. The vote was 232 to 197, with 10 Republicans voting in favor of impeachment. All 5 Oklahoma Republican representatives opposed the move, led by Congressman Tom Cole.
I can think of no action the House can take that's more likely to further divide the American people than the action we are contemplating today. Emotions are clearly running high, and political divisions have never been more apparent in my lifetime. We desperately need to seek a path forward, healing for the American people. So it's unfortunate that a path to support healing is not the path the majority's chosen today.
These were not protesters. These were not patriots. These were traitors. These were domestic terrorists, Mr. Speaker. And they were acting under the orders of Donald Trump. Now, some of my colleagues on the other side have suggested that we just move on from this horror. But to gloss over it would be an abdication of our duty. Others on the Republican side have talked about unity. But we can't have unity without truth and without accountability.
Current Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the trial won't start until after Trump leaves office. It will take a 2/3 vote to convict President Trump. President-elect Joe Biden will be sworn into office on January 20th, regardless of what happens next. Now, coming up later in this newscast, we will have an in-depth discussion on impeachment, featuring voices and opinions from both sides of the aisle.